Ladies and gentlemen, this is a story about a confused young boy named Haris, who when growing up did not really know what he wanted to do in his life. But he knew he wanted to do something big. Well, he knew he had to get good grades. He knew he had to be an all-round student in order to secure a scholarship, because his parents can't afford to send him to uni. And when he was in your very shoes here at KYUEM, he knew that he had to do everything he can in order to make sure that he gets to fly abroad, enter a good university and get that degree. Because to him, at that time, that was the epitome of success. That was the holy grail of, oh, you've made it in life. Like, I managed to secure a scholarship to fly abroad and study abroad. But once he was there in London, Haris was confused. What's next? Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Haris, and today my TED talk will be about the story of how I engineered my way into finance. Finance is something which I'm extremely passionate about. But before we dive deeper into that, let's take a step back and start from the very beginning. I grew up in a financially poor family, but not to the extreme of poverty. So we had enough food on the table. We did not have to starve my family. I lived in a 500 plus square foot government subsidized flat. It's a 2-bedroom, 1 toilet for my family of 5. My dad does odd jobs, whatever he can get his hands on basically. And my mom, she sells nasi lemak. So she cooks at my house in the kitchen, and she has this foldable table that she opens in front of my flat that we live in, which of course eventually evolved into a hawker pushcart. And I remember telling myself when I was 5 or 6 years old that I will do whatever it takes to make sure that my family does not live like that forever. Of course, both my parents has also constantly reminded me and my siblings that the only way out for my family is through education. Study hard, get a scholarship, and I will have a comfortable, stable, high salary job. So coming from such a background, none of my family members were in the corporate world. And for me, it was very difficult to define what success is, to navigate my way through the corporate world. Now I want to do this little exercise with the audience here today. I want everyone to close their eyes. Close your eyes and imagine you are 7 years old again. And your teacher asks you what your ambition is. What did you want to be when you were 7 years old? A doctor? Lawyer, astronaut, so on and so forth. Now open your eyes again. Well, at the time, my first ever ambition in life was to be a teacher. Why a teacher? So basically, I really look up to my teachers because they are key role models in my life. They help me to shape myself to become who I am today. And they're the most influential key figures in my life who has defined what success means to me. And when you're small, you can only dream of things that you can see. Maybe your dad was a doctor, or maybe your parents or your family, your distant relatives was a lawyer. That's why you wanted to become who you wanted to be at the time. So I wanted to become a teacher because that's what success was for me at the time. I can copy and imitate what my teacher does and become a successful teacher. Did you know that scientifically, the human's brain learns best by imitations? So humans have these specialized mirrored neurons in their brain, which helps them observe the performance and action of others, and it instills this innate behavior in us where we are able to learn almost twice as quick as compared to reading a book. When I took psychology during A-levels, my teacher, Miss Helping, there was this one Bobo study by this American-Canadian psychologist named Albert Bandura. So he came up with a social learning theory where it bridges the behaviorist and cognitive theories where it posits that we as humans learn best by imitating others. We learn by observing what others do, and we do. Which is why most of you guys today have gone through so many A-level past year papers. You learn the best by copying what has been done before. You familiarize yourself with the questions and basically try to replicate that in a different way when the real day comes. What I'm alluding to here is that as I grow up and I meet more people, I experience new things, my dream has changed. Initially, I wanted to become an engineer when I was here at KYUEM, and now I've engineered my way into finance. So I started my journey at KYS in high school. I was really good at math, numbers, so that was sort of my life calling at the time. It was my favorite subject. Even in KY, my two favorite subjects were math and further math. Sorry, Miss Elby. not psychology, but it was still one of my best teachers that I've had over here for sure. And I'm not sure if you guys still have it, but we used to have this math board question on the first floor of the admin foyer, where we would have the further math teachers post crazy, difficult engineering level, math, Cambridge level questions, and it's an open invitation to everyone, to all the graded students in K1 to try and solve that. And it was my favorite thing to do in between classes. I would go to the RC, sit by myself, and just dive deep into doing that math questions. And in high school also, I used to love sciences. I joined competitions such as Mighty Minds, the National Science Challenge, and I was fortunate enough to be able to win one of those competitions, which is the National Science Challenge. And the grand prize at the time, I was extremely lucky, thanks to the government. I was given a ticket to attend the Nobel Prize ceremony in Sweden, where I got an opportunity to meet Professor Higgs boson. So those in physics, if you've heard of the Higgs boson particle, he won the Nobel Prize ceremony in 2013, and I was fortunate enough to meet him. So back in high school, because I love math, I love sciences, initially I still wanted to become a doctor because I knew that I wanted to help my family. I needed a stable job. I need to ensure that the future of my family is secure. But when I was there at the Nobel Prize ceremony reception, and I spoke to Professor Higgs boson, and I asked him, what should I do in life? And he essentially told me, a brilliant young man like you should do something in sciences. You should either become a physicist, like himself, or at least be an engineer. And imagine one of the smartest man, one of the smartest people in the world telling you what you should do in your life. Who wouldn't take his advice? So the moment when I come back from that Nobel Prize ceremony at the airport, when my parents picked me up, the first thing that I said to both my parents, to my mom, I don't want to become a doctor anymore. I want to be an engineer. I want to build something for society that will create an impact such that the whole of Malaysia, or if not the world, will know my name. So I've set my course to become an engineer at the time. And it sounded like a really definite path from what I had gone through back in high school and getting that UEM or Renault scholarship, coming here to KY, and then subsequently to Imperial College London, where I did my master's in mechanical engineering. So I got my A-stars, wrote an backable personal statement, got into Imperial. But once I was there in Imperial, I was unhappy. I was truly unhappy when I was in my first year at Imperial because it's not what I imagined it would be. I did not like what I was learning. It was extremely stressful. So I had 12 modules in my first year. I had to go for classes from 9 to 5. And when I say 9 to 5, it's truly 9 to 5 with a 1 hour break in between. And I look at my other peers in LSE studying accounting and finance, in UCL studying econs. I'm like, how come they get to only have 2 classes per day, man? They have 2 or 3 hours of classes per day, whilst here I am, working my ass off in Imperial, studying 9 to 5, taking 12 modules at the same time. It's compulsory, by the way, for you to take 12 modules. And I don't even like what I was doing. So at the time, I started to question myself. Was it because I signed the scholarship contract too early on? I had to decide what I wanted to be when I was 18 years old. Don't get me wrong, I'm very grateful for what TEDxYouth has done for me. I wouldn't be where I am today without them. But I wanted the flexibility to change. But it was a tad bit too late at the time. Because once I was there already in Imperial, it would cost too much for me to switch courses. It's not like, for example, when you're in American universities where you get to choose a major, a minor, and you get to switch around after your first year. So I thought to myself, what can I do? So there's this syllogism that an engineer would typically go through. Half of my engineering friends went through this. So that's when you get to university and you realize that's not what you want to do in life. So you started assessing yourself. So for those who doesn't know what a syllogism is, it's essentially when upon 2 premises, which may be invalid by the way, you make a deduction or a conclusion based on those 2 premises, which would render your conclusion invalid, essentially. So there I was, sitting down at my desk in uni, thinking, hey, I'm good at numbers. Stock market is made of numbers. Therefore, I should be good at, wait, where did all my money go? So I started doing fractional share trading when I was in university. So it was a robo-advisor trading app at the time. It was called Trading 212. And it allowed retail investors as small as me, a student who had £100, to start investing in blue chip stocks at the time. And that was my first experience in finance. It was first when I realized that just because I'm good at numbers does not necessarily translate to a successful career or does not guarantee that I'll do well in finance. So I started working really hard, thinking of ways on how I can engineer myself into finance. In my first year at university, I decided to apply for an internship at Maybank, where I entered the debt capital markets desk as a junior summer intern for 3 months, and I learned everything I could about fixed income and bonds. I joined a lot of case study competitions back in university because that was the only exposure to finance that I can get. Imperial limits the number of business modules you can take because you go to Imperial to be an engineer, not a finance guy, a finance bro essentially. So I joined a lot of these case study competitions, like for example the Tunis Ismail Ali Challenge by Bank I joined the PwC case study competition, the Maybank CIMB case study competition. And I tried to learn as much as I can informally outside of my classroom, outside of my degree. I joined student organizations, which helped me build my soft skills. I was part of UKC, which is somewhat similar to the student council for students in the UK. I learned how to negotiate corporate sponsorship contracts. I learned how to manage budgets, finances, and how to lead an organization. And in my final year, I decided to do something crazy as well. Not enough studying in Imperial during my masters. I decided to start studying for my CFA level 1 at the time. Because I knew that if I wanted to get into good organizations, that's how I make myself different, that's how I stand out. I need to work extra hard compared to others who are doing an accounting and finance degree, or an econs degree, for example, who have way more knowledge than me. I needed to catch up. So after Imperial, I was offered a management associate position at JP Morgan here in KL. Novan was there also at the time, but he quickly left and he joined CIMB. But essentially, I managed to secure a job over there for 2 years, where I rotated around different desks. But I was also at the time offered a permanent role for a year and a half on the trading floor at JP, where I became an FX and rates treasury dealer. It was a fantastic opportunity. Also at the time, how I got to JP Morgan without having to serve my bond, for those of you who are wondering. I graduated during COVID. So UEM did not have a spot for the scholars who graduated at the time. They were undergoing some restructuring and retrenchment, and gave me a list of companies where I can serve my bond. Funny enough, JP was one of the companies on that list, and when I saw that list, I quickly grabbed the opportunity to apply. When I finished my 2 years at JP Morgan, I was sad to leave because I really wanted to stay on the trading floor. But I told myself maybe the Rizaki is not there yet. So I went to PwC. I was offered a senior associate position over there, where I focused on financial modeling and valuation. It really helped to build my fundamentals as a financial analyst. It's a relevant skill set which I had not learned in university. And I thank God for giving me the opportunity to be able to go through all these institutions in order to equip myself with the relevant skill sets to become a good analyst. Shortly after PwC, I joined Maybank Investment Group. I'm currently a licensed dealer on the equities and commodities derivative desk over there. So what I do is essentially I trade swaps, options, and all different kinds of structured products and derivatives for my clients at the desk. And without going through everything that I've gone through today in my journey, I wouldn't be where I am today. So there are 3 lessons that I want you guys to take from my talk today. Number 1 is basically don't be afraid to change your goals. As you grow older, you become wiser, you get to see more things, experience things in life. Don't be afraid to change what you want and work really hard towards it. Secondly, it's not just about changing your goals, but it's about curating your own path. It's about creating your customized path in life and fighting for your dream. I started off wanting to become a teacher, and then a doctor, and then an engineer, and then a finance bro, essentially. And it's not as easy and as straightforward as it is. If you really want something in life, fight for it. If, for example, let's say once you're in university, you're destined to do 4 years master's at Imperial as well, like me, why not write a letter to your scholarship manager, to your scholarship body saying that, hey, can I just graduate a bachelor's at Imperial and then do a master's at a business school instead? It's about taking these steps, not going with the flow, and really fighting for what you believe in, what you dream of, in order to make sure that you stand up. And lastly, work hard at everything that you do. Whatever you've been doing so far in life, whatever you have been thrown at you, whether you're at KY or once you enter university, it can be something as small as joining a student organization. Work really hard. You don't know who you will impress, you don't know who you will meet, but first impression really does matter, and it will take you a long way in life. Ladies and gentlemen, at the beginning of my talk today, I told you that this was the story of a confused young boy named Haris. Today, I'm proud to stand before you to say that I'm a little less confused. My passion is numbers. I think my life calling is finance. And my dream is to one day transform TRX or Bukit Kewangan into the Wall Street of Asia. I wish you you all the best. You are journey of self-discovery. Whether you're an engineer who wants to be a finance bro, whether you're a doctor who one day wants to become a prime minister like Tu Mahathir, whatever it is that you do it with your utmost 110% effort. Thank you.